It was the kind of job that no one would turn down, a weekend getaway to look after an old, secluded manor. The pay was more than decent, and the place, Blackwood Manor, was picturesque, perched on a hill, surrounded by dense woods. No one lived there anymore, just some distant relatives of the owner who used it for seasonal retreats. My task was simple: keep an eye on things, make sure no vandals got in, and deal with the usual upkeep. It should have been a quiet, easy weekend. I arrived just as the sun dipped behind the horizon, the last rays of light filtering through the trees. The manor loomed ahead, dark and imposing. Its stone walls seemed to swallow up the light, casting long shadows that stretched toward me like the fingers of some unseen hand. I stepped out of my car, my boots crunching on the gravel driveway. A cold wind swept across the property, making the hairs on the back of my neck stand up. I thought about turning around, driving back into town, but the thought of the money pushed me forward. I'd regret it if I left now. The door creaked open as I approached. No one had been here in weeks, maybe months. Inside, the air was stale, thick with dust. The old grandfather clock in the hallway ticked away in the silence, the sound strangely hollow. I wandered through the grand foyer, looking around at the ornate furniture, the faded paintings on the walls. Everything looked untouched, frozen in time. That's when I first noticed it. The smell. A rancid, decaying odor that seemed to permeate the air, faint but unmistakable. I shook my head, telling myself it was just the age of the place. It wasn't uncommon for old homes to have their own unique scent. I continued on, checking the rooms one by one. The first night passed uneventfully, though I had trouble sleeping. The house was unnervingly quiet, and I kept hearing strange noises. Footsteps echoing in the halls, whispers drifting just beyond hearing. I convinced myself it was just my imagination playing tricks. But something about this place felt wrong, as though the house itself was alive, watching me. The next evening, things escalated. I was sitting in the living room, flipping through an old book I'd found in one of the dusty shelves, when I heard a faint scratching sound from upstairs. It started low at first, like something or someone dragging their fingers across the wood. I paused, listening. It was quiet for a moment. Then the sound came again, louder this time. I stood up, heart racing. Slowly, I made my way upstairs, the air growing colder the higher I climbed. The scratching stopped as I reached the top of the stairs, replaced by an eerie silence. I walked down the narrow corridor, my footsteps muffled by the thick carpet. That's when I saw it. At the end of the hall, one of the doors was cracked open. A faint light leaked through the gap, flickering like a candle in the wind. The room inside seemed alive with movement, shadows shifting and twisting in unnatural ways. Without thinking, I stepped forward, pushing the door open. The light was coming from an old, tarnished mirror that hung on the far wall. The surface of the mirror was covered in grime, but I could still make out the vague outlines of the room behind me. For a moment, everything seemed fine. Then, the reflection changed. A shadow moved within the mirror, a dark figure that wasn't in the room with me. I froze, my blood running cold. The figure stepped forward, its eyes black as coal, its face twisted in a grotesque grin. It was staring right at me. I tried to pull away, but my feet felt like they were glued to the floor. I couldn't look away. The figure in the mirror began to move toward me, its smile widening as it reached out a hand, its fingers long and claw-like. "You shouldn't have come here," it whispered, its voice like 1,000 voices speaking in unison. Suddenly, the air grew thick, suffocating, as if the house itself was trying to swallow me whole. The lights flickered, then went out completely, plunging me into darkness. The cold settled in like a vice around my chest, and I could feel something, someone, breathing just behind me. I spun around, but there was nothing there. The whispers began again, louder now, circling around me. I stumbled back toward the door, my heart pounding in my chest, but the door slammed shut before I could reach it. I was trapped in the room, alone with whatever was in the mirror. "Leave, or become one of us," the voice hissed. It was all around me now, seeping into my mind, crawling into my thoughts. The mirror began to crack, spider webs of fractures spreading across its surface. The figure inside snarled, its face contorting in a horrific, inhuman way, as if it were trying to escape. In that moment, I realized what was happening. The spirits trapped in this house had been cursed, bound to the mirror, waiting for someone to set them free or become their next victim. They had tried to claim anyone foolish enough to enter, dragging them into the reflection, into their world of endless torment. I had to act fast. Desperately, I searched the room, my mind racing. My eyes landed on the book I'd been reading earlier. I remembered a passage about old curses, about how to banish malevolent spirits. The solution was simple: destroy the source of the curse. I grabbed a heavy chair and hurled it at the mirror with all my strength. The glass shattered, the shards exploding outwards like 1,000 sharp teeth. The figure screamed, its tortured wail reverberating through the house, but then it was gone. The room fell silent. I rushed to the door, my hands trembling as I yanked it open. The house was no longer cold, the air clear once more. The whispers had stopped. I never stayed another night at Blackwood Manor. I couldn't. But as I drove away, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was still watching me. I could still hear the whispers in my head, faint but persistent. The ghosts may have been banished from the mirror, but their curse still lingered. And I knew that the darkness of Blackwood Manor would never truly let me go.